Hello, this is Michael Hexter, and welcome to Politics 2100 here on YouTube. So this episode I'm calling Have Bernie and AOC Neutralized Progressives by Endorsing Biden in 2024 Early? Exploring Cenk and Ana's Theory. So this title is really a portion of the ideas that Cenk and Ana of the Young Turks have put forward in a broadcast they did a day ago on the 5th of September, or or stream that they did, and their usual main show, which airs at 6 p.m. Eastern or 3 p.m. Pacific. And I think it's I have some criticisms of the Young Turks. I don't always, there are things about their economic ideas that are not well developed and contradictory and not well informed. But on politics, they are usually spot on, if not even ahead of the curve. Not always, again, in politics, but there are areas of what I consider to be weakness there, but they are very strong often on, and one of the reasons why they're strong is that they really criticize both Democrats and Republicans quite equally, and from a progressive perspective, and they are, often they use the news and news stories, and they do quite a close reading of the news most of the time. So, but anyway, in this video, I think it's very important. I think it's really worth looking at. It's a clip from that show, a 12-minute clip where they are looking at the rumors or the moves that indicate that probably Joe Biden is going to withdraw from the 2024 election, that he's probably going to withdraw in a way that will lock in his faction of the Democratic Party as the 2024 presidential candidates. And Cenk and Ana are pointing out that Gavin Newsom has been given the permission, so to speak, to go on the circuit again and to campaign essentially as a potential presidential candidate. And also Gretchen Whitmer was given a very favorable article and review. And so there's a thought that either one of those two or them as a ticket would be the sort of attempt at coronation of the Democratic candidate, which is something that has now been tried pretty much since 2016, if not before, where the DNC and the elite, the party elite, attempts to, along with the media infrastructure, the media organizations, the media corporations, and also the nonprofit corporation NPR, attempt to steer the campaign toward a nominee, and to exclude or discourage or stigmatize challengers to that likely successor to whomever is on top. And so this happened in 2016 for Hillary Clinton. In 2020 for Joe Biden, there was essentially a coronation process, and these were efforts to sideline in both of those campaigns Bernie Sanders. So and Bernie Sanders essentially gave up in 2020, and I hate to say that. I hate to. He didn't give everything up, but he gave a lot up, and he said that Joe Biden was his friend, which was unnecessary. He didn't have to announce that Joe Biden was his friend, even if he is his friend. And he basically, by doing that, he discouraged the left, which had gathered around him, from criticizing the coronated, basically by Barack Obama, and the efforts to if you recall, or if you don't remember, or you never knew, basically there was the field was cleared for Joe Biden, because Bernie Sanders was doing quite well in the early primaries, and there was an effort to create this firewall against Bernie Sanders. And remember, Bernie Sanders, even though he calls himself a democratic socialist, he is the likely successor, or he has been the successor, even though he wasn't clear about this, of the Rooseveltian tradition in the Democratic Party, which is sort of light social democracy, and a commitment to labor, a commitment to to creating a strong social safety net that hasn't existed in the United States, but is fragmentarily been put in place since the 1930s, and then is now also under attack, has been under attack since the 1930s as well. So anyway, so in this video, though, there is this theory that is being thrown around that, and it is also even a clip from Chuck Todd interviewing the recent biographer Franklin Furr, well-known writer and sort of liberal-ish writer, who wrote the most recent book about Joe Biden. That he is. There's a sort of a gap. There's a potential. There's an opening there that somehow there's doubt that Biden will actually continue campaigning for the presidency for 2024. So anyway, in this situation, and in this video, Cenk is scathing, as is Ana, about progressives, including Joe Biden and AOC, and basically all of the elected progressives who have early endorsed Biden, and without any apparent negotiation, without and so Cenk describes how foolish they will look, or if Biden drops out, and they have sort of given away their whatever leverage they might have, or even their own candidacies for presidency, by endorsing this guy who dropped out. And in this way, these early endorsements, which I don't know the process by which they occurred, whether there were actually some behind-the-scenes negotiations or not, or threats issued to them that they should, follow, step in line, fall in line, because of the threat of fascism, and which is real. There's a real threat of fascism, but the idea that everybody should huddle together around Biden as the most effective way to combat fascism, which I disagree with. But anyway, that and essentially to dispense with democracy, dispense with reality, with truth, okay, with the truth about Biden, with the truth about what hasn't been done, what needs to be done, what progressives should be doing, okay, and what they should be pressing the Biden administration to do, what they should be trying to implement in Congress, so forth and so on. And so the compromises made by being part of Team Biden have, in my mind, inhibited them. I have yet to see AOC call for a climate emergency on climate, which was a signature, if not her one big signature issue. She has been largely silent. I am very disturbed by that, and also by her tendency to compromise with the leadership. Now, again, there's been, I will do another video where I discuss the sort of AOC critique industry on the left, and also my own perspective on her positioning, and it is important. She is someone who has a very, very large following, and largely because, there's a number of reasons why she has that, but one of them is that she did take a confrontational approach to the Democratic Party leadership and won a seat. And so, but it's been pretty much downhill from there since then. And from the point of view of people who do not feel like the Democratic Party leadership represents them at all, and has in fact not only represents them at all, has been working against their interests, and working for the interests of the fossil fuel industry, for the corporate elite, so forth and so on, and been not fulfilling any agenda that even looks remotely like a New Deal, a Green New Deal, or even fulfilling the undone work of the old New Deal, okay, which, for instance, Medicare for all, so or job guarantee, all those things that were in Roosevelt's Four Freedoms agenda. So anyway, this positioning failed, or I think Cenk is correct in. I think he's a little over dramatic in some ways, in that people can course correct, and I think he's trying to sort of shame and spur these people, as am I, to have some guts and represent a progressive alternative to the Democratic Party elite, what they're doing, and also to actually run. So I have been on this channel, or I have in the past certainly, called for AOC to run in 2024. It doesn't look likely. She might decide to run. I really don't know. But endorsing Biden early is suggesting that she has very few ambitions to run in the near future, that her ambitions lie in, I would consider it to be small ball. Not totally unimportant, but very, very, but sort of small detail policies and programs and so forth and so on. That while, if we assumed that we had a functioning social democratic party, she would be a good representative but her behavior, in my opinion, assumes a party that doesn't exist. In other words, the party that she's a part of, it assumes that there's no conflict, or there's no between her agenda and the agenda of the Democratic Party, that she's just doing complementary work to it. She's a complement. She's helpfully doing things. She's supposed to be a help to her constituents. And she does excellent work in that area. So I think that that's nice and that's good. But there's also an element to which the leadership of her party is undermining the welfare of those people in her district. So she would need to fess up to that and point that out, and to be scathing about it, and to be confrontational, which maybe is not. I thought that she had more of a capacity to do that, but maybe she's not. And so anyway, I'm talking about AOC because she's the younger person who, theoretically she will be 35 if she were inaugurated on January the 20th, 2025. So she will qualify. But anyway, and she'll be young, okay, and which is some of the issue about Joe Biden is that he's old and he acts old. And anyway, in this video, I think there's refreshing that of the Cenk and Ana's, or the Young Turks video, the outtake from their show, the 12-minute segment of their show. There's refreshing honesty and directness about, how the candidates look. How does Biden look? How does Trump look? Just in terms of their their vibrancy as physical people. And so yes, so having a vibrant young person on, or younger person on the, as the head of the ticket would be good, but one can't, that person needs to nominate themselves first. They need to advance themselves first. They need to have the ambition. They need to be ready for the slings and arrows of the candidacy, of facing, both the internal fight in the party, and also the external fight and the media slings and so forth on, all of which I personally haven't faced. So, and that AOC has faced a lot of, and she is apparently is not, understandably is not happy about what that means for her life and so forth and so on. So, or at least that's my interpretation of how she's reacted to the negative pushback upon her. But anyway, or the, not pushback, but the insults basically that are leveled at her, lots of insults, okay, and then some criticisms that are hidden behind some insults and so forth and so on. But and that might be things that she could take up and fight, or acknowledge, or all those different things. But anyway, but yes, there's tons and tons of insults thrown at her, and she's been one of the main targets for the right wing and also for parts of the Democratic Party. Anyway, so this theory though is very interesting, and the idea, and this is something that people, I think, need to look at and need to be aware of, even if that you don't support any number of these people I'm talking about, that the Democratic Party is trying to create a coronation of someone by keeping Biden in as long as possible before he actually drops out, and then giving no one, basically shunting or foreclosing a democratic process in the Democratic Party, the supposed Democratic Party, or the supposed champion of small d democracy in the United States, is not obeying or having a democratic process to find its front runner, its nominee for the presidency. And that is, even though there's all this symbolic stuff about doing primaries and so forth and so on, and then campaigning and doing primaries and having debates, if that were to happen. And again, the debates are not happening with Biden there, so they're attempting to create a similar situation where it's basically an emergency that, that we have to everybody has to get behind these new frontrunners that we've already selected for you, that we, the combination of the media elite, again, and Cenk and Ana talk about the power, and this is again, it's not unheard of that this has been an evolving theme in Young Turks broadcasts, and I think it's correct that the media is a powerful political force in our society, on both the right and the center left and so forth and so on. And so, or left, I hate to use the word left to describe the Democratic Party mainstream, at least of the leadership. But anyway, but the center and then the right are, there are media organizations that quasi run these parties, or that are certainly extremely strong powers in them, and they apparently, we saw this with the Bernie Sanders campaign in both 2019 and 2020, that it was easy to stigmatize and dismiss Sanders, even though he's a relatively mild left figure, and he's an actual left figure that's a very mild and not particularly fiery person. But anyway, so I think that this narrative that Cenk and Ana have put together there does resonate with what I've been talking about here in Politics 2100. And even though I very hopefully have been wanting the progressive representatives, and I still do not share Cenk's total dismissal of those, let's say, enhancements or supplementary activities that the progressives in Congress, the squad and squad adjacent members and Bernie Sanders, what they have done and what they have inspired. I think that there's some progress there, but it is very slow, very incremental, and it is also mispackaged in certain ways, and it is deceptively packaged for the American people, and that what's happening here is that there should be a break from the Democratic Party shunting away democracy. And anyway, so this is one reason why. And we have, again, the test case quietly, or not so quietly, but off to one side, Marianne Williamson, who is running a progressive campaign she's following the rules. She is not part of this king-making or queen-making process that Cenk and Ana talk about, but she is soldiering on, attempting to make an effort to garner the nomination having a progressive platform. And she should be, her ideas she should be aired. She should be tested by interaction with media figures and by in debates and so forth and so on. And people will see if they like her and if she is quick enough on her feet and she's able to they can imagine her in the White House and so forth and so on. And so, and they agree with her platform and agree with how she, couches things or whatever, or just the general outlines of what she has to say. So, or other progressives get in and so forth and so on. They figure it out who's going to be the flag bearer of progressives, and so, and I hope they get organized and they include Marianne in that. Unfortunately, the way Bernie and AOC have operated, they seem to be ignoring her, and that's a shame, because it gives the sense of them being institutional players already in a party that is not that is not overtly social democratic, and in fact is anti-social democratic, and they have campaigned essentially as various forms of social democrat, calling themselves democratic socialist or whatever, or progressive, or in the true sense of the word. And so, but the party has only a deceptively packaged form of progressivism, which they are, I think, contributing to that image, that false image of the party, if they do not speak up, if they do not say, I am not, I want to run and challenge the leadership of the party, I have different ideas, so forth and so on. If they don't stand up and say that, and don't in a forthright way, they will be participating in this deceptive game of a pseudo progressive party, a pseudo liberal left party, that nevertheless serves corporate interests and the donor class. Not nevertheless, but that actually supports those people, and uses this this progressive outcropping that's new to basically continue to shield itself from an actual left, and so, or an actual change that might come from a left, and so. Or might be spurred by the grassroots, however you want to call those grassroots. So I now I'm making generalizations, as did Cenk and Ana, about but I am painting a picture of a danger and of a seeming function that these people, the work that I've done, and also donations I've made to this movement of the last 8 years, essentially, Bernie 2015, 2016, and then AOC and Cori Bush and other people who were attempting to get elected who failed. And actually Summer Lee, who has been elected. So I am personally concerned, angry. I want these progressives within the Democratic Party to show themselves and make their voices heard and make their action and take actions that are not always in step with the leadership, and also in this case not being shunted into the Biden 2.0 or 2.0 presidency, or the whatever it is, the post-Biden establishment pick, rather than having a vigorous discussion of what the party should be doing in the context of debates, in the context of a contested primary that needs to happen. In any case, I will stop here, and please share your thoughts in the comments. Maybe we can have a discussion there. Please like the video if it has content that is provoking any thought, and also please subscribe to Politics 2100, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks.